Imagine standing on the precipice of a dense, impenetrable forest, unsure which way to turn, uncertain where the path leads. Life, when stripped of vision, mirrors this disorienting moment. Endless choices with no clear direction, no guiding light. Without a purpose, you're paralyzed, caught in the whirlpool of indecision. Obstacles appear insurmountable, and energy slips through your fingers like sand. But when a vision takes root, when a destination is set, the world transforms. A vision becomes the compass, the steadfast guide cutting through chaos, illuminating the way. Without clarity of purpose, the discomfort of progress feels unnecessary, even unbearable. Life offers countless distractions, comfort in the form of trivial pursuits, fleeting pleasures. Scrolling through your phone, sinking into mindless entertainment, they grant instant satisfaction, but at the cost of true fulfillment. In contrast, the hard work of striving toward something meaningful requires commitment and sacrifice. Yet, without a vision stronger than the temptation of comfort, resistance will break you before you even begin. A compelling vision breathes purpose into your days, converts scattered energy into focused action. It becomes the North Star, anchoring you in the storm of distractions. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions, for the scale of your vision dictates the scale of your life." A small vision yields small results, but a grand vision, one that stretches the boundaries of possibility, transforms you into someone capable of achieving it. With a vision, resilience becomes second nature. Setbacks are not defeats, but lessons that reframe failure as a stepping stone. The Stoics understood this. Focus on what you can control. Your goals, your vision, your effort. Everything else is mere noise. You stand at the crossroads. You can drift, carried by the current of life's whims, or you can define a vision and steer your course. Without it, you are adrift. With it, every step brings you closer to who you were always meant to become. The Future Authoring Program exemplifies this transformative power. A mere 90 minutes spent crafting a vision can radically alter the course of a life, giving direction to the aimless, hope to the disheartened. It provides structure where there was once only confusion, clarity where there was uncertainty. Studies show that such a simple act of writing down your goals reduces the likelihood of failure. Why? Because when we have no vision, even the smallest obstacle feels insurmountable. But when we have a clear purpose, each challenge becomes a necessary part of the journey. When you take the time to imagine your life in 5 years, fully realized, thriving, successful, you awaken to the possibility of a future designed by your own hands. But equally important, you are shown the opposite, the empty pit of inaction, the stagnation that inevitably follows the refusal to pursue your dreams. The program doesn't just give you hope, it gives you a stark reminder of the consequences of choosing to remain passive. What do you see? A life of growth or one of regret? Clarity shifts your mindset from passive observer to active architect of your future. With each step toward your vision, confidence blossoms and momentum builds. You are no longer adrift, you are in control, mapping your journey with purpose. The simple truth is, clarity is power. In 90 minutes, you can transform chaos into order, giving your life the direction it has longed for. Obstacles once seen as barriers become mere stepping stones, each one a lesson that propels you further toward your ultimate goal. Desire alone is never enough to achieve greatness. You can wish for success, health, or happiness, but without unwavering commitment, those wishes will remain just that, fleeting hopes. Commitment is all in. No half measures, no hesitations. True commitment demands sacrifice, giving up distractions, enduring discomfort, saying no to ease and yes to the difficult road that leads to growth. The Stoics understood this deeply. You cannot have it all. You must choose what matters most. When you commit, you embrace the humility to admit when you are wrong, to adjust your course without prideful attachment to failure. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you're mistaken, correct it. If you can't, then let it go." Commitment shields you from distractions and self-doubt. When you are truly committed, Obstacles are no longer reasons to quit. They are challenges to conquer. Are you merely interested in your goals, or are you committed to them? Interest fades at the first sign of difficulty, but commitment, it endures. It carries you through every trial, every setback. To achieve something meaningful, you must be willing to sacrifice the comforts that hold you back. You must be willing to fail, learn, and try again. True commitment is the bridge between desire and achievement, and you cannot cross it halfway. Life is not fair. It is not easy. It will test you with suffering, disappointment, and challenges you never saw coming. The Stoics did not sugarcoat this truth. They met suffering head-on, but they also asked, what makes suffering worthwhile? Without a vision, suffering becomes unbearable, arbitrary. It feels cruel, meaningless. But when you have purpose, suffering transforms. It becomes the crucible that shapes you, the fire that forges you into the person capable of achieving your dreams. Consider the marathon runner. Muscles aching, energy waning, yet still they press on. Why? Because they have attached meaning to their pain. The finish line justifies the agony. Life is the same. When you work toward something truly meaningful, the struggles become fuel. They refine, they strengthen, and they prove how much you're willing to endure for what matters. A vision gives you perspective. It helps you face suffering with grace, asking not, why me? But how can I overcome this? Obstacles are no longer personal attacks. They become opportunities to prove your resolve. As Seneca wisely said, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Suffering is inevitable. The question is, what will you suffer for? Will it be for something trivial or something worth every ounce of effort? The suffering of stagnation breeds regret. The suffering of purpose leads to growth. Ask yourself, what vision is worth your suffering? What goal is so significant that it justifies every sacrifice, every setback? With such a vision, suffering does not break you. It builds you. It is the fire that forges you into the person you were always meant to be. Life is not meant to be lived aimlessly. To find true fulfillment, you must anchor yourself in areas that give your life meaning and purpose. Without these anchors, you drift into chaos, confusion, and ultimately despair. The Stoics understood that a meaningful life is not built in a day. It is crafted slowly, carefully, by tending to the domains that define who you are. The first domain is relationships. Whether romantic, familial, or friendships, healthy relationships give life a deep sense of connection and belonging. You can achieve great things, but without people to share them with, success feels hollow. Relationships require effort, nurturing, trust, communication, but they offer deep joy and purpose in return. The second domain is career. While you may not love every part of your job, meaningful work imbues your life with a sense of value and contribution. Whether advancing a career, building a business, or providing for loved ones, work offers purpose beyond mere survival. Education is another pillar. A meaningful life demands growth, the constant sharpening of your mind. The moment you stop learning, you stop evolving. Whether through books, courses, or life experiences, intellectual growth prepares you to face challenges with wisdom. Equally vital is your health, physical and mental. Without taking care of your body and mind, nothing else matters. Exercise, nutrition, rest, mindfulness, these form the foundation of everything you do. Lastly, there is community. Serving others, contributing to the greater good, gives life a sense of significance beyond yourself. True freedom comes from mastering yourself, avoiding the temptations that erode discipline and self-control. Without these anchors, life feels empty. But when balanced relationships, work, health, learning, self-control, and community, your life becomes rich with meaning. Ask yourself, which of these areas needs your attention? Begin to build a life that is full, anchored, and resilient. When overwhelmed, the Stoics remind us that no problem is insurmountable if broken into manageable parts. Start small. The first step toward progress may seem insignificant, but it is the beginning of something greater. Each tiny victory builds momentum, and soon you'll realize you've come farther than you ever thought possible. Remember Marcus Aurelius. Focus only on the step directly in front of you. Momentum is the secret weapon. Once you begin, no matter how small the action, it becomes easier to keep going. Action breeds energy, and energy breeds confidence. Small steps, though seemingly insignificant, are the foundation of all great achievements. Start where you are, break down the challenge, and conquer it. Then watch as the mountain of obstacles slowly becomes a series of steps, each one waiting to be taken. A life without direction becomes monotonous, draining. A life with purpose, one driven by a clear vision, brings fulfillment, joy, and progress. Positive emotion is not random. It is the fruit of movement toward something meaningful. Without a goal, without a vision, you miss the reward of progress, and stagnation sets in. Life's hardships are the forge in which resilience is crafted. As Seneca wisely said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we squander so much of it, turning away from the harsh truths of suffering and mortality. In evading these truths, we waste the precious moments that could prepare us for what lies ahead. The inevitability of death, loss, and suffering stirs an abyss within us, but it is precisely in facing this darkness that growth is born. To stand before the abyss is to accept that life is at times a cruel teacher. Yet within that harsh lesson lies the seed of strength. You are far more capable than you realize. By walking toward your fears, you take control, ceasing to be a mere victim of life's trials and instead becoming the hero who confronts them. This journey transforms you. Confronted with suffering, you strip it of its power. Fear becomes manageable, trauma a stepping stone for healing, and death itself a reminder to live with purpose. Imagine the abyss as a shadowed forest, so dark and daunting it seems impossible to enter. Yet as you step forward, your eyes adjust, and hidden pathways emerge, revealing strengths you never knew you had. By the time you emerge on the other side, you are no longer the same person. You are wiser, stronger, unshaken. Avoiding the abyss leaves you weak, fearful, and unprepared. Facing it, however, cultivates resilience and transforms you into someone capable of bearing life's heaviest burdens. The Stoics did not shy away from darkness, for they knew that within its depths lies the light of transformation. A critical mistake many make is to treat themselves with neglect, judging themselves more harshly than they would ever judge a loved one. If someone you loved were suffering, you would shower them with compassion and support. Yet too often, we forget to offer ourselves the same kindness. The Stoics believed in nurturing oneself with the same wisdom and care we would offer another, as though we were our own duty to protect. Now envision yourself 5 years from now. If you treated yourself with care, with compassion, as someone worthy of love despite imperfections, what would that future look like? Start with the basics. What kind of relationships would you have? Would they be filled with support, joy, and value? What work would you be engaged in? Would it challenge you, fulfill you, and align with your soul's deepest purpose? How would your body and mind have transformed, and would you be proud of the discipline you've shown in caring for yourself? Creating a vision for your future is not a mere daydream. It is a powerful promise to yourself. It is an image of who you can become, not through wishful thinking, but through deliberate action. The clearer the vision, the more powerful your resolve becomes. When you begin to treat yourself as someone worthy of respect, you realize the weight of your choices. Each decision, big or small, brings you closer to or further from that future you seek. Write down your vision. Make it clear. Then, take that first step toward it, one courageous stride at a time. But it is equally powerful to confront the alternative. What if you do nothing? Picture your life 5 years from now had you refused to act, grow, or improve. What does that version of you look like? Where do you live? Who do you surround yourself with? Or more poignantly, who have you pushed away? What would it feel like to realize you let time slip away unseized, unnoticed? This is the pit of regret, your personal hell, The trap of stagnation. The Stoics warned against ignoring these unpleasant truths, for such blindness leaves us vulnerable to inaction's inevitable consequences. Seneca's wisdom echoes in our hearts. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare that things are difficult. The pit is not a distant nightmare. It is the result of our refusal to face life's challenges. It is a place shaped by laziness, fear, and apathy, a consequence of inaction. But this fear is not weakness. When harnessed wisely, it can become a motivator. Imagine your lowest point: missed opportunities, fractured relationships, bitterness, and isolation. The pit always waits, lurking, ready to claim you the moment you stop moving forward. But here is the truth. Life does not stand still. You are either moving toward a brighter future or falling into a darker one. The choice is yours. Let the fear of that pit fuel your resolve, for the cost of stagnation is far greater than the discomfort of action. Look into the abyss, understand it, and say to yourself, I will not end up there. Then take that first step toward the life you deserve. Character is not inherited, it is built through deliberate action, honed over time like a craftsman shaping raw stone. The Stoics understood that a strong character, grounded in virtues like courage, discipline, wisdom, and integrity, is the bedrock of a meaningful life. Excellence is not a singular act but a habit. What virtues do you admire? Is it courage in the face of fear, discipline when temptation beckons, kindness in moments of anger? Identify the virtues that resonate with you and practice them. If you value honesty, challenge yourself to speak the truth even when uncomfortable. If you admire discipline, wake early, stick to your commitments, and push through to completion. Building character is not about perfection, but about persistence. The reward for this effort is profound. A life shaped by virtue allows you to face life's challenges with grace and strength. When your character is your foundation, you become unshakable, a force of stability in a chaotic world. In a world that pulls us in all directions, role models serve as our compass. The Stoics knew this well. Seneca wrote, "Choose someone whose way of life and whose very face mirror the character that lies behind it." Heroes, whether real or fictional, offer us a vision of what is possible. They show us the heights we can reach when we live according to our highest ideals. Reflect on those you admire. What qualities do they possess that you wish to embody? Perhaps it's the unyielding work ethic of Marcus Aurelius, the calm resilience of someone in your life, or the bravery of a fictional hero who stood tall in the face of adversity. Role models give us a blueprint for growth, guiding us toward excellence. They show us not just what is possible, but what we can become when we emulate their virtues. The Stoics understood that while role models are not perfect, they provide a standard to strive toward. By emulating their strengths and learning from their mistakes, we grow. In a world of fleeting distractions, role models remind us of what truly matters. They guide us when we are lost, reminding us that greatness is not only possible but attainable. Life's hardships are woven into the fabric of existence, inevitable and unyielding. The Stoics did not shy from this truth. They met it head-on. They knew that to avoid hardship was to amplify its grip over us. The true solution lies not in evasion, but in engagement, in living fully, wholeheartedly, and without reservation. Time is brief. As Marcus Aurelius noted, do not act as if you had 1,000 years to live. The best way to overcome suffering is not to fear it, but to live so fully that regret is banished from your soul. Engage with life's challenges, relationships, career, and growth, for they are the very elements that give meaning to suffering. The fear of death loses its grip when we choose to live with purpose. When we pour ourselves into life, its challenges, its adventures, its responsibilities, we exhaust its possibilities, leaving no potential untapped. Hardship cannot be avoided, but it need not defeat you. Life does not stop for us, nor do we have the luxury of standing still. Will you seize the opportunity to grow, or will you slip into the pit of stagnation? The Stoics believed that by voluntarily embracing life's burdens, we not only strengthen our character, but forge resilience. As we carry our cross, we are not crushed, we are refined. So ask yourself, what burden can you carry today? What difficult path can you choose that will shape you into someone capable of enduring hardship with grace and strength? Life's challenges are not to be feared but to be embraced, for in carrying them, we build the life of meaning, purpose, and unshakable character that we so deeply desire. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, constantly reminded himself that his life's true purpose was not to seek comfort or recognition, but to serve others. When you align your actions with a purpose greater than your own, life transforms into something profound. Helping your family thrive, contributing to your community, or working for a cause larger than yourself elevates even the simplest tasks to acts of virtue. In doing so, you shift from living for selfish gain to living for something enduring, something that matters in a world full of distractions and fleeting desires. It's easy to lose sight of these values in a world so full of temptation, but every day offers a chance to choose. Will you act with integrity, courage, and kindness? Or will you take the easy path of avoidance and self-interest? These choices, repeated consistently, shape your character and your destiny. For your character is your legacy, and the decisions you make today define the person you will be tomorrow. Choose wisely, live intentionally, and remember that when your actions serve the greater good, you craft a life worthy of respect. When life shatters around you, the instinct is to turn inward, to shut out the world and retreat into despair. Yet the Stoics offer a profound antidote to misery: turn outward and serve others. In doing so, you free yourself from the grip of nihilism and hopelessness. When you find levity in suffering, you shift your perspective. Instead of being overwhelmed, you step back and see the absurdity of life's chaos. You remind yourself not to take everything too seriously. Stoicism teaches balance. Just as discipline and courage are necessary for growth, so is the ability to laugh at yourself and the world. Humor keeps you from becoming bitter or paralyzed by despair, preserving your humanity when everything else feels like it's falling apart. When life throws its worst at you, maintain your sense of humor. Laugh at the absurdity of setbacks. Smirk at life's unpredictable challenges. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Choose to react with strength, grace, and a touch of humor. Humor won't erase life's difficulties, but it will give you the lightness to carry on. It's a reminder that you can endure, not just with grit and discipline, but with a smile on your face. When darkness overwhelms, humor is the crack of light that keeps you moving forward. Happiness is often misunderstood. Many chase it as if it's a final destination, a prize they will claim once life becomes perfect. But the truth is, happiness isn't found in idleness or fleeting pleasures. It comes from movement toward something meaningful. The Stoics understood this well. Happiness arises when you aim for high and worthwhile goals and commit to their pursuit. Think of happiness as the byproduct of progress, not the result of perfection. It's not about achieving a single moment of victory, but about feeling the momentum of moving forward, step by step, toward something that matters. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts, and the most satisfying thoughts are those tied to meaningful goals. Goals that stretch your limits and bring purpose to your actions. The higher and broader the goal, the deeper the sense of fulfillment it brings. Small, shallow goals may deliver brief bursts of pleasure, but they fade quickly. Larger goals, those that demand effort, discipline, and sacrifice, forge a deeper sense of pride and happiness that endures. Whether you're building a thriving career, contributing to your community, or creating a loving family, pursuing high goals lifts you above temporary struggles. In aiming high, you discover the best version of yourself. A meaningful goal forces you to grow, to rise above your limitations, and to embrace challenges. The joy is found not in the final achievement, but in the journey of becoming capable of achieving it. Ask yourself, what is the highest goal I can aim for? Don't settle for mediocrity or comfort. Life is too short to aim small. Choose a goal that inspires you, one that will demand everything you have and reward you with more than you ever imagined. The Stoics remind us that happiness comes not from pleasure but from purpose. The higher the purpose, the richer the reward. Life is not fair, and it never promises to be. At some point you will feel wronged, betrayed, or mistreated. You may suffer setbacks that feel unjust or endure hardships beyond your control. Feeling victimized is natural, but holding on to that resentment and bitterness is a choice, and it's a choice that will poison your life. The Stoics taught that while you may not control what happens to you, you do control how you respond. When resentment takes root, it clouds your judgment, steals your peace, and holds you back from growth. It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. By letting go of bitterness, you reclaim your power and open yourself to growth, wisdom, and resilience. Look to those who have faced immense adversity with grace and courage. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, but chose forgiveness over resentment. He understood that bitterness would only imprison him further. Viktor Frankl, who survived a Nazi concentration camp, said, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." These individuals faced unimaginable hardship but refused to let bitterness define them. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Every adversity contains a lesson, a chance to grow stronger and wiser. When you shift your focus from blame to growth, you transform suffering into an opportunity for self-improvement. You stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as someone capable of overcoming anything. Overcoming resentment also means accepting that life is imperfect. People will disappoint you, circumstances will not always be fair, but holding on to bitterness doesn't change the past. It only robs you of the present and the future. Forgiveness is not for others, but for yourself. It's the key to freedom. The Stoics remind us that hardship is inevitable, but suffering is optional. You can choose to rise above resentment. You can choose to grow. The weight of bitterness is heavy. Let it go. Learn from adversity. Find strength in your struggles. By choosing growth over bitterness, you don't just overcome adversity. You become the kind of person who inspires others to do the same. Hedonism, the relentless pursuit of pleasure and avoidance of pain, promises happiness but delivers emptiness. It's a seductive trap. Indulgence feels appealing at first, but over time, it reveals its true face. A life devoid of purpose and meaning. The Stoics warned against this. They understood that living solely for pleasure is unsustainable and self-destructive. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of those who want to be popular depends on others. The happiness of those who seek pleasure fluctuates with moods outside their control, but the happiness of the wise grows out of their own actions." A life driven by impulse and gratification may feel good in the short term, but it leads to long-term suffering, weakened discipline, regret, and emptiness. Hedonism lives in the present moment, with no thought for the future. But life is not just about today. It's about your future self, your loved ones, and the world you leave behind. The Stoics teach us to serve a community that stretches across time. This includes the you of tomorrow, a year from now, and decades into the future. Your actions today are investments in your future self. A life of constant indulgence drains those resources, leaving your future self in ruin. Instead of living for fleeting pleasure, aim to live with intention. Find joy not in indulgence, but in growth, contribution, and self-mastery. True happiness comes from aligning your actions with your values and striving towards something meaningful. You can enjoy life's pleasures, but only in moderation, and only when they do not distract you from your higher purpose. Ask yourself, what kind of life will I look back on with pride? Is it a life filled with short-lived highs, or one built on meaningful work, lasting relationships, and contribution to something greater? Pleasure fades quickly, but purpose endures. Choose to focus on actions that serve your future self, your loved ones, and your community. That is where fulfillment lies, not in fleeting pleasure, but in a life of value and meaning. Life becomes meaningful when you act in service to something greater than yourself. The Stoics understood this well, reminding us that happiness comes not from selfish desire, but from selfless service. True fulfillment does not arise from the pursuit of selfish desires, but from the act of giving to your family, your community, and society at large. Responsibility is not a burden. It is the bedrock upon which a life of purpose is built. To live for something greater than oneself is to cultivate character, to rise above the prison of self-pity and apathy, and to break free from isolation. When you embrace responsibility, you grow in resilience, discipline, and strength. You become someone others can rely on, someone whose mere presence makes the world a better place. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What we do now echoes in eternity." Your actions, no matter how small, ripple outward, touching the lives of those who depend on you now and in the future. Responsibility also lends meaning to life's darkest hours. In times of chaos when everything seems lost, the focus on others provides a beacon of purpose. Perhaps you are caring for your family, supporting a friend, or contributing to a cause you believe in. These acts of service affirm that your life holds value and direction, even when you feel small or overwhelmed. Consider the moments when humanity shines brightest, in the face of disaster, war, or personal tragedy. It is those who step forward, who bear responsibility and lift others up, who become the beacons of hope and strength. They do not act for accolades or rewards, but because it is the right thing to do. They understand that life is not just about them, it is about the collective good. This does not mean neglecting yourself. The Stoics in their wisdom spoke of balance. To serve others, you must first nurture your mind, body, and spirit, so that you have the strength to give. The ultimate goal is to live a life of service, a life where your actions reflect a higher purpose. Ask yourself, who can I serve? What can I contribute to my family, my community, the world? When you take on responsibility, you elevate not just those you serve, but yourself. You become stronger, wiser, and more capable of enduring life's inevitable challenges. Service to something greater than yourself transforms suffering into meaning and small actions into lasting legacies. The Stoics remind us, fulfillment does not lie in avoiding challenges, but in embracing responsibility and serving others. Through this, you uncover the purpose. The fear is a universal experience, a shadow that keeps you from moving forward, a barrier to growth, and an anchor to mediocrity. But fear is not something to shy away from. It is something to face, step by step. The Stoics held that courage, the ability to confront fear willingly, is one of the most essential virtues for a resilient and meaningful life. To build courage, you must expose yourself to fear voluntarily. You do not overcome fear by ignoring it or waiting for it to dissipate. You overcome it by facing it slowly but surely. The process is simple yet profound. Begin small, pushing yourself just beyond your comfort zone, and increase the challenge gradually. As Seneca wisely noted, we are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. By confronting fear directly, you strip it of its power. Take, for example, someone who fears public speaking. They don't begin by addressing a crowd of thousands. They start small, speaking to a few friends, then a small group, and eventually larger audiences. With each step, their fear wanes, and their confidence blossoms. This principle applies to every corner of life. If you fear failure, take on small challenges where failure is possible, but manageable. If you fear rejection, practice talking to strangers. Each incremental exposure strengthens your emotional resilience. Facing fear willingly changes you. It proves to yourself that you are stronger than your anxieties, that you can act despite discomfort. This courage doesn't just transform your abilities, It transforms who you are. Avoiding fear, conversely, allows it to grow. The more you retreat from it, the more it holds you captive. Voluntary exposure to fear is uncomfortable, yes, but it is also liberating. It reveals to you that fear is not a wall, but a door. On the other side lies growth, strength, and freedom. Ask yourself, what small fear can I face today? Take that first step, then another. With each act of courage, you fortify the unshakable character that defines a resilient life. When you find yourself stuck, overwhelmed, or facing a mountain of challenges, it's easy to feel paralyzed. The goal, whether it's a successful career, a healthy body, or a meaningful life, seems impossibly far off. But progress does not come in great leaps. It comes in small, steady steps. The Stoics understood the power of focusing on what lies immediately within your control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." In other words, break down your problems into manageable tasks. Start small, no matter how insignificant it may seem. Small successes create momentum. If you can't exercise for an hour, start with 10 minutes. If you can't write a book, start with a paragraph. If you're overwhelmed by the thought of cleaning your whole house, clean one corner of a room. These seemingly trivial victories compound over time, building confidence and fostering more action. Before you know it, you will find yourself making progress where once you saw only obstacles. The beauty of incremental progress is its transformative power. It overcomes resistance, for the hardest part of any task is simply beginning. By breaking challenges into manageable pieces, you eliminate hesitation and excuses. You don't need to see the entire path. You just need to take the next step. The smallest efforts repeated consistently add up to monumental results. The Stoics knew this. They valued effort over perfection, progress over waiting. "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" asked Epictetus. Waiting for the perfect moment is a trap. The only way to be ready is to begin. Action is the antidote to despair. Small steps lead to greater confidence, and greater confidence fuels more action. The foundation of self-improvement lies in mastering the basics. It's not about perfection, but about effort and consistency. For someone struggling socially, learning how to shake hands with confidence, how to engage in small talk, or how to introduce themselves with poise, these small steps can change the course of their life. For someone seeking a job, mastering the basics of preparing a solid resume, practicing interviews, or arriving on time. These are the first steps toward reclaiming control over their life. The Stoics understood that waiting for ideal circumstances is futile. The only moment that matters is now. As time slips through our fingers, we are reminded of its fleeting nature. The Stoics, ever aware of mortality, used the inevitability of death as a catalyst for action. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think, wrote Marcus Aurelius. This awareness of life's fragility should not instill dread, but ignite urgency. Each moment wasted is a moment we can never get back.